I must have been 12 or 13 when my stepmom told me that she thought I was worthless, just like my mother, which was extremely painful to hear, especially given that my mom died at a young age, and then my dad decided to remarry this awful woman who had the meanest daughter, my stepsister Angela, and literally my entire childhood with that stepmom, she would just verbally berate me, and my dad would stand by and do nothing about it, and that was really difficult, but I put up with it up until my stepmother literally threw a plate at me and was hitting me. And that was the day that I knew I had to leave home because I wasn't safe there. So I waited until it got dark out, and then I took my things, shoved them in a duffel, and I walked out. I walked for I don't know how long, it was hours, and it was in the pitch black night. I felt unsafe, but where else was I supposed to go? And I just remember thinking, I haven't eaten all day, don't know when I'm getting my next meal, I just need to go, I just need to keep walking. And it was scary, to feel that amount of pressure on me to find a place for myself. I also didn't have money to just, buy a hotel to stay in for the night. So I'm, praying that I can just encounter any space to spend my, next couple hours until dawn. And eventually, I see this diner. It's a 24-hour diner. It has, one of those blinking neon open signs. And I'm like, this is better than walking the streets at night. So I go in, and I sit at a table. And this woman with, silver streaks in her hair comes up to me. And, I was trying to have a low profile because I don't want her to call the cops on me, I'm still living with my parents, I am a young woman, it's late at night, and I have these bruises on me from my stepmom hitting me, and I just kind of angled myself away so she couldn't see me, and then when she asked what I wanted, I just said coffee, and she got it for me, but I could tell that she had noticed something was off, it's not like I could hide the bruises. She kind of didn't pry, but later that night, another guy comes in to the diner, and he clearly knows the woman who works there because they have a rapport, and he's rough night, and she's they always are, and she kind of nods to me, and he asked if I was all right, and I nodded, and actually what happened next is something that blows my mind to this day. Martha came up to me, that's the one with the silver hair, and she was like, you can stay. We have a room upstairs if you need, and you can start working for us as a dishwasher. And that was to this day, one of the biggest acts of kindness that I will always hold dear to my heart. I learned that the other guy was Joe, and Joe and Martha sort of ran the joint, so they were letting me stay there together. And I took on that role. I was so happy to have somewhere that I could be away from my family, but it was, reinventing myself and still living out of my duffel. Well, eventually, about 3 weeks into my just working and living at the diner, this random guy comes in, and he has steel eyes, just cold, super tall to a little sketchy, and I was just really nervous that someone was gonna be there from my dad and try to get me to move back in with my dad. But this guy, go up to him, I ask him if he wants coffee, because I had started, waiting tables at that point, and he was like, I'll have a coffee, Nora. He said my name, and when he said my name, my stomach dropped, because I was like, does this guy know me? Was this guy sent here by my dad? But I was like, how do you know my name? And he was like, name tag, because I had it on my shirt, and it's I was so paranoid that I thought once he said that, okay, I can chill out. And I did for a couple of days. He kept on coming back to the diner, day in and day out. And one day, around noon, he comes in, and my guard is down, because he's been coming in and nothing weird's been happening. But that day, I'm clearing his table, and he reaches out to me, and he says, Nora, I have to tell you something. It's about your mom. Are you kidding me? I wanted to ask him what he was talking about, because the only people who know about my mom at this point in my life are my dad and my stepmom. So I'm about to ask him, and then someone comes into the diner. So we're not alone anymore. And he looks at me and he goes, later. But later never came. Because when I was taking out the trash that night, a van pulls up behind me, and before I can even respond, scream for dear life, a bunch of men get out of the vehicle and pull me into the van, kidnapping me. And in that moment, right before they shut the doors, this guy, Justin Hunt, who he kind of like is known as a successful entrepreneur in my like area, which was super random to me because like, why would he care about me? He was running after the van and he was like, I'll find you, I promise. Then it all went black. When I come to, I am in the room that I lived in before I ditched my dad's house. So it's like this opulent mansion, the room I've lived my whole life, and yet it feels like a jail. And who's there but my dad? The guy that didn't protect me all of the times growing up that my stepmom berated me. And he proceeds to tell me that my mom isn't who I thought she was, and neither am I. And what am I supposed to do with that information? Like, it's so cryptic. He's just taken me from my safe life at the diner. But the thing is, he saw me as a bargaining chip. Like, me and my sister Angela, like, neither of us were of value to him as human beings. He wanted to, like, sell us off into marriage. So he was convening with rich businessmen in our area to, like, kind of try to set up the best deal for himself. Like, by marrying us, he saw it as a business contract. And I'm aware of this in the back of my mind. But I can't even, like, do anything about it because I'm just basically a prisoner in this mansion. And then something worse happens. I start feeling the worst nausea of my life. I have stomach pains. I don't know where it's coming from. I've never felt this pain in my life. And I know I can't tell my stepmom or my stepsister or my dad because none of them would do anything about it. So I take myself to the hospital one night. Again, just like the time I ran away, I wait till everyone's asleep and then I go. And what I find out when I get into the hospital room, I will never forget this moment. Like, this was the craziest news of my life. I'm sitting there and suddenly they're squeezing jelly on my stomach. Like, you know, the kind that they use for ultrasounds. And I'm like, huh, that's weird. Hope it's not a tumor. And then it ended up being twins. The nurse says, yeah, you're pregnant with twins. What?
To find out, download the Pocket FM app now. Link in the description. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more gripping stories.